Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with Trader Summit. And with me today, I have Mr. Dick Matthews from One.io. He's going to break down this huge rally that we're seeing in Bitcoin. I'm coining the Bitcoin whisperer around here, Mr. Matthews. Tell us what's happening in Bitcoin in your point of view, because you're at One.io, you're at a crypto
Yeah,
firm.
yeah.
Tell us what's happening over there.
I'm just going to sit here like the Cheshire Cat and grin from ear to ear, having got something right for the first time in donkey's years. I don't know when we first started go long, beginning of the year, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, it's broken up, touched all-time highs. As a company, I think we've seen plenty of buying coming in around about the 50,000 level, which I was a bit surprised at because I thought people would be booking their profits there. You've got big inflows into the ETFs. I think a lot of people are saying, I may or may not really believe in it, but let me put 2, 3, 4, 5% of my portfolio into Bitcoin as a bet, as an outside bet. If it goes, great. If it comes back, I haven't lost the world. So I think there's a bit of that going on. And there's still this overriding feeling that the central banks are destroying currency and destroying value. And I think that's hard, and that's more a younger generation thing than my generation. But I certainly think that's playing into the hands of it. And I was in name dropping. I was in the Middle East last week. I was in Dubai, where it was absolutely glorious, lovely swimming water, unlike here. And certainly there is an anti central bank and probably anti-dollar feeling, and they're much more comfortable with crypto assets than possibly the rest of us are. So I think you've got the power of that coming in. So and also wider acceptance. So I think there's lots of good reasons to stay long. It's had a big rise. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it come back and book some profits, but I'd be nervous to go short here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you as far as being short. It doesn't make sense to be short, but if you're long, we hit a quick all-time high. Well, you could say it was
Yeah,
all-time high. It brushed the highs
yeah,
and literally 14% disappeared within seconds. Obviously, it's regained its composure since then, but
yeah,
it is a little scary, right? It's a scary
yeah.
ride when things are exploding.
Yeah, I mean, it's still an immature market, isn't it? You haven't got the depth that you've got in the currency market. So, virtually any currency you trade, unless there's a real sort of fat finger and a rogue trade goes through, are you going to see a drop like that? So I think the liquidity is still quite thin. However, there's certainly plenty of buyers and plenty of fresh buyers out there. And I still hear, not from One.io, I must say, but I still hear people talking about the Chinese sitting on it to try and keep its attractiveness down, because I think people just want to get out of China. It's a very easy way to move money.
That makes yeah, it is. I guess it is. It's a good way to move money secretly amongst a lot of places, right?
Quickly. It's a
Quickly.
good way to move money very, very quickly.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, all right, let's kind of shift gears then. Let's talk a little bit about the overall global economy. What's your thoughts here as far as the markets go, and and the markets don't necessarily translate to the economy, but it seems like, we
Yeah.
just got some economic data out today and everything seems very steady. What's your view
Yeah.
on US economy, maybe global economy as well?
Well, as we spoke about some time ago, I still think the US economy is exceptional, and it's a different to the rest of the world. So I think you've got to put it into two separate baskets, and possibly three if you look at Japan. I think the American economy is still going gangbusters. The JOLTS number is a little bit, it's okay. It's still just shy of 9 million jobs on offer, which is a phenomenal amount. Holding pretty steady. We got non-farm coming out on Friday, which I think will be more important than normal, because I think that the data, diffusion indexes, I'm never really convinced the ISMs and the S&P things. If people ask you and you're grumpy, what do you think of the economy? You go, I don't think much of it. If you're happy, I think it's great. So I think that non-farm is going to be an important figure on Friday. And Powell's going to keep his eyes on that. He was pretty non-committal today, I thought. I may not cut rates, but why do I have to cut rates? And actually, why do you have to cut rates in the States? I can't see any reason for it apart from stock market wanting it. But the more stock market goes up, the less reason to be there is to cut rates. And there's obviously a lot of money going into risk. Going back to Bitcoin, it's a risk asset, and then there's still money going into it. Our side of the pond, I think we got the ECB today or tomorrow, depending when this comes out. I think that she is going to be her normal non-committal self. They might hint that they're thinking about cutting rates. Certainly not going to get the expression was that we can't even spell cut rates. So there might be a little bit of a hint there, which I guess you might see a bit of euro weakness. The UK, we just had a political budget, no great shakes in there. It's a really boring, unimaginative budget. They should be, encouraging tax cuts, encouraging people to get to work, encouraging investment, which they're not. They're just looking at the headline. So I still, being boring, I still favour the dollar. And as we were just saying, I can't believe, and I'm going to be quoted on this, that sterling is the only currency to improve against the dollar this year. I'm really, really surprised at that, unless I misread it. But it hasn't really done very much. But maybe higher rates are going to stay here for longer, and that's the view.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it will. I mean, you got sterling is basically holding up a lot better than other currencies, whether it's performing best against the dollar. That's an interesting statistic. I want to find out what you think right now is probably your best trade at this moment, because there's obviously a lot of moving parts. You got stocks at all-time highs. You've got gold rallying. You even got, you got gold and Bitcoin rallying at the same time, both nearing all-time highs, like literally, a skip and a jump away from them. The dollar is under a little bit of pressure today during Powell's testimony, but overall, the dollar's still kind of maintaining. What's your best trade setup right now?
Well, I certainly don't think you can go short of the dollar. I am fundamentally nervous of stock markets. I think that they're still relying on deep cuts this year. I'm not sure we're going to get them. I know that we've seen all-time highs, but we've seen a bit of a setback the last couple of days. I would be looking probably to buy some out of the money puts on the S&P. I just get a little bit nervous of it. I think there's so much good news in the market. There's not room for bad news. And when you look at what's happening still in the Middle East, still in Russia and Ukraine, I still think there's scope for some nasty shocks there. So I wouldn't be surprised if it set back a little bit. And as people realize that actually Powell ain't for cutting. I certainly don't. I think they've actually, interestingly, the UK and America have got a similar problem for the central banks. You've got elections at the end of this year, and I think we touched upon this with Michael. And if you start cutting, they're boxing themselves in the longer they leave it, because it starts looking like a political cut. So they've got to cut really quickly. I would say anything after June is too late, because it will look like political, both here and in the US. Can they cut by June? I don't think they will. And I think suddenly people will go, gosh, these rates are going to, we're not going to get a cut this year. And I think that is a threat to equities.
That makes sense. He's on Capitol Hill today. That means Fed Chairman Powell, and he's getting drilled, as you would expect. It's election year. You got people speaking for their constituents. Everybody's feeling the inflationary bite right now. So he's definitely under the gun. So it's going to be hard for him to cut.
Yeah.
Into this year. I mean, if it does, you're right. It's going to look political, but at the same time, you're just fanning the flames for inflation, and that's not what the people want at this point. So it's a bit of a trick, right?
Yeah, it's a real tricky one. They box in, the longer they leave it, the harder it gets to cut. We're what now, March? So we've got April, May. I think I'd have a cut-off point as June before it starts looking political. He's going to want to see two sets of poor figures, I'm guessing, before he cuts. Yeah, I think that's really, really tight. I still think does the American economy warrant a cut? No, not at the moment. I can't see it. And the same in the UK. We're going to get an election, I guess, pretty similar time. We're still bumbling along. Inflation's still, high here. I think that people are going to get a surprise, and sooner or later they're going to go, "Oh my God!" The 1.5 big figure cuts that we're expecting at the beginning of the year, they ain't going to happen. To me, this is a potentially a problem for equities.
That makes sense. Well, Dick, I tell you, I always love having you here, and it's great to catch up with you every week. I'm sensing, hey, you might be a little bit top picking here, looking at the stocks, thinking they're up against some levels that are going to find some serious resistance, but out of the money puts. I think that's where you're going to be putting your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Something like that. I don't know.
All right. Well, so what's the best way for traders to follow your work, Mr. Matthews?
You can follow me on Twitter, either at 1.io on Twitter, or at Dickie Matthews on Twitter with, instead of an S, there's a 5, or on LinkedIn, or you can just drop me a mail.
Well, thank you so much for spending your time here with us, and I'll catch you very soon here on the Trader Summit. And if you guys and gals enjoyed listening to Mr. Matthews, make sure you give him a thumbs up. And if you have any comments about picking tops, jump in the comments below and let us know. All right, we'll talk to you soon, Mr. Matthews.
Have fun. Cheers now, Blake. Cheers, guys.
Hey traders, Blake Morrow here. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also click the bell notifications so you do not miss any of our market-related trading analysis from some of the leading industry experts. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in the next video.